I got me a post drill. I got me a post drill. I got me a post drill. Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to my shop. Today I'm going to be restoring this post drill. It's one of these I've wanted to have in the shop for a long time. This is the traditional predecessor to the drill press. Works very similar except for rather than having one hand that just draws it down and a motor drills it, you have one hand that's actually cranking the whole maneuver, and then there is a gear up top that advances it slowly. So let's jump into this thing and see how it goes. I have been wanting a post drill for a long time, and I picked this one up at a Midwest tool collector's meet for a fairly decent price. It was in fairly decent shape but needs some work. Not a whole lot of rust, but needs to be cleaned up and painted. So I started by taking it apart, and most of it was fairly straightforward. A lot of set screws holding pins in place, and most of it was just shafts that went through the main body and had a pulley on one side or the other. Just had to keep very close track of where things were at and what needed to come out. Some of it needed a little bit of persuasion. Just make sure not to hit any of the cast items. They have a tendency to snap with pressure. Not a good thing. But most of these rods and drive shafts I could just slide out and pull apart, keeping track of where everything went and putting it on a magnet on the bench. For the actual restoration, I didn't need to do much rust removal. Most of the time I would put it in a vinegar bath or something like that to remove the rust, maybe a sandblasting. But in this case there were only a few spots, and with some sandpaper or a wire brush I could clean them up. Then it was time to mask everything off for painting. I used masking tape and pressure it onto the points and cut off excess with an X-Acto knife. A lot of these holes I need to actually put through pieces of tape so that they will fill the hole, and I don't get any paint inside the hole because they have a fairly tight tolerance. I don't need that happening. But it's just going through and taping off holes. I'm not worrying as much about screw threads; those clean out fairly easily. But anywhere where there's a tight-fitting shaft, I fill that up. And for the actual paint, I use a Rust-Oleum spray paint. Sometimes I will do a primer paint on, but these were actually in pretty good shape and actually had a light coat of black on them, so I just went over them directly with the spray paint. I hit them from 4 sides with a light coat on each side and then let them sit for a while. 2 coats on one side, flip them all over, and then 2 coats on the other side so that they get a nice even coat. Keep it light each time. Now I can pull it apart and start to see the magic come out. And I really love this point when I can actually open it up and see what all is inside it. And yeah, this is fun. You see the contrast between bare metal and paint, and it really starts to pop and look beautiful. So at this point, it's reverse engineering everything that I took apart. Putting all the pieces back in, putting all of the pins in, the set screws, keeping track of where things are at. I'm also going to be oiling. I have a small oil can that I'll be dripping in places here and there, making sure that anywhere where steel rubs on steel there is a decent amount of oil. Just slowly working everything back together. This is something that I really enjoy because you start to see it come to life, and it has an older life that you get to get an idea of. Now I want to actually hang it up on the wall, and I don't have a good post to put it on, so I'm going to make one out of 2 scrap 2x4s I had lying around. I'm cutting them to the length, and I'll then attach one end to the joist in the ceiling, and just a couple nails to hold one side on, and then sandwich the other board onto the face, or laminate it onto the face of the other one. So I have basically 2 2x4s wide. And this gives me a post that I can attach it on. It's just kind of floating on the floor, but wedged in, it isn't going to move that much. I had another piece of 2x4 that I put some bolts through from the back side. And that way I could put a nut on the front to hold the post drill onto the post. And then I could attach that 2x4 onto the 2 stud boards behind it. Not the stiffest, but it works fairly well. With a little bit of fun, it all goes together. At this point, I'm also going to add some more oiling. I have a small can, and I'm listening for squeaks and rubbing points making sure the shaft is completely oiled. There are quite a few shafts in this that actually need some oil. And I'll run it all the way through one end to the other and back, filling all the holes with oil. Then the chuck that is on here is a little bit different. It's a 1/2 inch straight adapter. It was a little harder for me to find, but I did find one. The original design basically just had a 1/2 inch end on the end of all of the drill bits, and so you could just put that in there rather than having a chuck. But I really wanted to have a chuck for this, so I'll leave a link to that in the description below where I got the parts for that chuck. And now the fun happens. I can actually test it. So putting the board in there and playing with it, and you can see as I'm running the handle, it is automatically advancing it down, and so I could reach up and tighten the advancer and push it down a little farther. It is designed for drilling through steel, so it does go slow enough for that. And yeah, a lot of fun. Just a little bit slow for most woodworking, but then I can lift it up, slide the board off, and there you go. Here's a closer shot of the advancing pawl, how it is moving that top gear that then drives the main shaft down. Kind of a cool design and a lot of fun. I can see myself spending a lot of hours playing around with this thing. So I still have a few other things to do on this. Number one, this whole bed I'm not happy with. I'm either going to build a whole new bed or fix this one up. Number one, the last person, apparently it fell at one point and broke the bed and then snapped it here, and they I'm assuming they tried to glue it because this isn't weld. So they tried to glue this metal back together. It didn't work. The bed is still together, but this one is not. So I need to do something like that. Also, the bed is out of square to the bit, so I need to either make a sub bed on this that then is square to the bit, or build a whole new bed that is square to it. Other than that, it is all in working condition, and I'm really loving how this is all coming together. Just kind of a fun toy / tool to have in the shop. And it runs beautifully. This is a flywheel. A lot of people think this is so you could attach a belt to it, and yes, you can, and eventually that's one method that they were driven, but this is more to provide momentum to this. So once you're cranking, it's already going. Traditionally, the purpose of a flywheel was to provide energy or to store energy so that it could be continuously used, whether that's in a treadle or lathe or even a drill press like this. So this is a post drill that I am absolutely loving and looking forward to using it for many years to come. This is kind of a temporary location. As you can see, it's not very sturdy and the thing kind of moves around, so eventually I'm going to be getting a larger, like a 6x6 that I can mount in the shop here and actually have a nice space for it. There's the final beast, and I am loving this thing. Yeah, you'll probably be seeing this in a few videos upcoming, but I'm just glad to finally have it up and running in the shop. So if you have any questions or comments or ideas for future videos, please let me know. I'd like to put those in there. And yeah, we can get this up and running and put it in a few more videos. I'm really looking forward to that. So if you like this video, please hit like and go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Also, I want to say an incredible thank you to the patrons on Patreon. You guys are the reason why this shop continues to run and why these videos keep coming out. If you'd like to help out with that, you can find out more over here. Also, if you like this video, feel free to check out one of my others. You might find something you like there. And until next time, have a wonderful day.